health emergencies can be scary. They're scary for any of us, they're scary for our families, but it gets even scarier when you look at that bill at the end of your hospital visit. And all of us have either been there or seen someone we love be in that position, and you wouldn't wish it on your worst enemy. But what if health insurance did not have to be something so scary? What if health insurance meant that it was easy to operate? What if it meant that no matter where you traveled in the world, whether here in the UAE or back home, you'd be covered, you'd be safe, and you have someone looking out for you? Well, health insurance could be that. But just how? We'll find out through this conversation on the Policy Project podcast. I'm very excited to welcome onto the show Toshita Chauhan, who is the Chief Business Officer of General Insurance for Policybazaar.ae. Welcome onto the show, Toshita.
Thank you, Malvika.
I'm really excited to talk about this because I feel like it's something that goes completely unaddressed, and
Yes.
a lot of us just, only deal with health insurance when we're in an emergency, which is about the worst time that one can deal with
Absolutely.
that, right? But I want to start with a bunch of questions that I put down. So I want to start, Toshita, with everyone's worst nightmare, that we're going to end up at the hospital and have a big bill, but then, getting the claim takes so long, or getting that money to clear that bill takes so long that we might not have the ability to wait it out.
Yeah.
So how does getting that claim quick change the way that we see our policies?
What we do at Policy Bazaar is we guide you through how do you declare, what do you declare, what are the conditions that are counted under pre-existing. We have a program called PB Advantage, and within that program, we have an entire sales team who kind of does an individual customization for you for plans, a consultation for you, whether you may choose to buy from us or not buy from us. We don't charge you for this service, right? And secondly, once you do buy a policy from us, you are placed in the insurer system as a Policy Bazaar customer, where you have specific access to a fast track claims process. We have a dedicated claims concierge service sitting right there for you, who will be able to directly coordinate with the third party administrator, with the insurance company, even in some cases with the hospitals or the facilities where you've made a claim, and figure out why this claim is stuck. So
Right.
we're able to build a much quicker turnaround for your claims. And I think anybody who is in that situation is anyways mentally bogged down and doesn't really want to again deal with such things.
Yeah.
So our advisors are, at the time of purchasing the policy and selling you the policy, that's the time where they kind of make it very clear to you that, listen, if you're buying something, just buy it for the right reasons.
Yeah.
So I think this kind of process goes all the way back to the
Very first
decision-making
conversation.
process. Yeah.
So you talked about a policy that automatically boosts when your coverage limit has been reached, right? So how does that work, especially when you have specific ailments or specific diseases or maybe costly treatments? Advantage of
Right.
it.
So at Policy Bazaar, we interact with thousands of customers every month, right? And we, being a digital platform, we have different ways of recording their feedback, right?
Right.
And it is done in a structured way where we're able to know what is the core problem the customer has. Like, he is buying health insurance, or if he's not buying health insurance, what is that one benefit he's looking for, and how do we kind of enhance this product and the process for the customer. So one of the things that came up was, hey, I have a health insurance plan and I have a sum insured for that. Sum insured is typically the annual policy limit, right, which covers you that once you reach that amount of limit, your policy gets exhausted, then you don't have a cover anymore. And that would happen probably in rare situations, especially if you declared yourself as a healthy individual. So for healthy individuals, we basically say that, hey, if you do have a claim and you have entirely exhausted your policy sum insured, we will kind of top up the sum insured for an unrelated claim. So for example, you've made a claim for, let's say, heart disease, right? And that was something which you weren't aware of. It's something which has come up now, etc. And we're seeing this, especially in young adults, we're seeing this pretty often. And then, God forbid, you have a claim related to something related to your, muscles or bones, right, which is unrelated to your heart condition. But because of the heart condition and the claims related to that, you
You've exhausted
exhausted
your
the
plan.
sum insured.
Right.
As long as that condition was not pre-existing, it didn't exist from before, for the other unrelated claim, we would top up your sum insured, so you're able to have a seamless experience. This is kind of like a backup insurance and a
Right.
backup top up,
Right.
wherein and it happens rarely, but when it does, uh, you're in a position where you have health insurance but you can't use it
Right.
because you've exhausted it. So I think we figure out certain factors and features for our customers that they will only have access to if they were to buy a plan from Policy Bazaar.
Right.
And again, these don't come at additional premiums. These are something that we plug in at no additional cost. This is built in within our plans. So every time you buy a health insurance plan on Policybazaar.ae, look out for the tag PB Advantage and see which are the plans which come under this category.
Incredible. I think that sounds like just the kind of thing you need when you're hit with a health emergency. And for a lot of people, if you've had something earlier in the year and then in the latter part of the year you're hit with a second medical emergency, the last thing you want to know is I'm out of cash on my insurance policy. So here's the mindset that I have to be honest about. That I think a lot of the younger, sort of healthier people in the UAE, especially the gym going dieting variety, have, right? It's that, look, I'm not getting sick. I barely get sick. Why should I pay this much money for a premium? I'll just save up that premium amount, and then when I have to go to the hospital, if I have to go to the hospital, then I'll just pay my hospital bill like that. But you guys have a plan that kind of changes the way we see that, right? So you want to tell us a bit about that?
Yeah, so as you said, there are a lot of people who are, they have certain investments that they make, their budget, monthly budget for gym. You have a diet plan, you have meal deliveries, you have these fitness bands. There is, without naming one, there's something for like 600 dirhams, there's something for 900 dirhams, there's something for 2000 dirhams. And we are, we're being more aware about all of this.
Absolutely.
We see our friends, like I see you box jumping on Instagram, right? Every day on your story, on your where you're going to the gym and your trainer is there for you. And our overall mindset is, yes, I'm healthy and I strive to be healthy, and what will happen to me, it's fine. I don't want to pay such heavy premiums. But as we say, right, you don't need insurance until you really need it, and then no one wants to give it to you, right? Because you're already in the middle of almost making a claim. And within the PB Advantage plan, we give you a no claim bonus. And that no claim bonus typically is for healthy individuals who've been with us for 1 year. And at the time of renewal, we evaluate your case basis your claim history, which the insurance company already has. So at that time, we would increase the sum insured for you by 10%. So if your sum insured was, let's say, 1 million dirhams, it would now be 1.1 million dirhams.
So the deal is I just have to ensure that I don't go to the hospital for 1 whole year. Is that the deal?
Yeah, if you don't go to the hospital to make inpatient claims, and there are certain minor terms and conditions that it will exclude maternity, because that's one-off claim that comes in the policy. Then you have your pre-existing conditions, that if you already have certain pre-existing conditions, we know that you are going to go and you have an issue of diabetes or hypertension, or that you're prone to certain claims and you're going to go to the hospital for that, that may not be counted. But yeah, a fairly healthy individual will have this no claim bonus.
Okay. My next question is about annual health checkups. So I just went home for the summer, and the first thing that my mom made me do is that go to the hospital, make sure you get your annual health checkup. And the fear I know in the UAE is that, oh my God, it's going to be really expensive. What if we can't afford it? Just do it when it's cheap. Do you guys have these free annual health checkups as well that you do?
Yes, absolutely. So, Malu, we realize that especially with us Desis, right? Most of us are going home back to India, for example, for at least once a year, right? And we have that one trip which is mostly admin work.
Absolutely.
Right? Whether that's going to the bank or buying like this whole pack of medicines, or buying, all those groceries, etc. And one of such things was going to the doctor, getting your, teeth checked, dental checkup done, and your regular annual health checkup.
Right.
And that's something because of the price difference, or somewhere we feel more comfortable doing it. And we spoke to a lot of, let's say, desis, if I have to call it. And they all said, ki, yaar, I go back home and that's like that health checkup. So, karana hi hai. Yeah, we have to do it. Yeah. We have a plan which is called NRI Care. Within that NRI Care plan, this is specifically for Indians living in UAE, wherein within that plan, we're able to give you coverage both in the UAE and in India, cashless. And it works as a plan which kind of covers both the countries. And we give you a free annual health checkup back home. And that's something that you can easily book. It's accessible across 300 cities across India. And we said, hey, when our customers are going there and they'd rather do it there anyway, but they're paying out of pocket, why don't we just give them free of cost? So that's a service that's kind of already inbuilt in the plan.
Wow.
Within UAE, There are certain plans where insurers offer it, but those are limited plans, if I have to be honest. But in all our NRI care plans for Indians, everything is covered back home.
So that brings me to my next question, right? When it comes to getting a quotation or
Yeah.
speaking to somebody from an insurance company, you're always worried about is it going to take forever?
Yeah.
Okay, I don't want it to take an hour or a month of Sundays.
Yeah.
Two, I want it to be transparent. Okay, I want to know exactly what the terms and conditions are. Don't make me go through a whole bunch of
Documents.
complicated words and things that I might not understand. And very importantly, for a lot of us with pre-existing conditions, how do we make sure that this is transparent, that the
Yes.
company is not trying to fool us and we're not trying to fool the company?
At Policybazaar.ae, what we've really done is we've kind of simplified the insurance jargon, language, complicated terms, and put it out there for the customer who does not genuinely understand insurance, but he does understand as to what he wants and what he doesn't want, right? As a layman. So if you visit Policybazaar.ae, it's a very simple process. You answer a couple of questions about your profile, yourself, etc. Basis that, we'll show you a list of plans that you are eligible for. We'll show you the premiums. We'll show you which hospitals each plan covers. We'll show you what are the inclusions in terms of the top 5-6 most important things that are required in a health insurance plan. We'll also let you filter out that, hey, listen, dental is important for me, optical I don't really care so much, this hospital and this doctor I already visit, so if something were to go wrong, I still want to go to that doctor and that hospital, is that covered or not? So it's quite simple, and especially for people with pre-existing condition, they require a little additional hand holding, because the insurance company wants to evaluate your case basis your personal medical history, and then give you a premium and a set of terms and conditions within the policy, right? So that conversation with the Policybazaar.ae advisor, that's very important to be had, as to what my condition is, how we're able to gauge if the customer is hiding something. We're able to also kind of inform the customer what it means for them to report this honestly, right? Like, if you are going to not tell us about this medical condition, what would it mean for you at the time of claim, right? So why are you buying the insurance policy? Second is, we would then give this detail to the insurance companies. We have a turnaround of 30 minutes where we're able to kind of give you the quotations for pre-existing conditions. Majority of them, I would say, for a little bit of chronic conditions, we take about 60 minutes, which is still the lowest you'll get in the market.
60 minutes is nothing. It's a drive from one corner of Sheikh Zayed Road to the other.
Absolutely.
It's not a lot.
The customer just wants to know, hey, let me know tentatively how much am I looking at, right?
Yeah.
That's the first answer. But for pre-existing customers, it's more than that. It's your life, it's your health, it's your loved ones' life and health. And let's just do it properly and evaluate it. And again, as I said, all this is free. We're not charging you to kind of use our platform.
Well, that actually brings me to my next question about customer support and digital support.
So we've identified different modes of communication which
right.
suit our customers across. So
Yeah.
we have a dedicated helpline which is on 365 days. It doesn't matter whether it's Eid break, it's national holiday, it's New Year's. Even on 1st of January, it'll be open, right? We have a unique WhatsApp channel dedicated where if you don't want to call us, you want to just chat with us, you can raise a ticket or an inquiry there, and someone would, again, either call you back, email you, or WhatsApp, continue the chat with you, depending on what your preferred mode of communication is. Amazing. So I said it's across, and sometimes it's just a blend, because health insurance can also get a little bit complicated as to what is included and what's not, and especially if you're spending a decent amount of money, you really want to know what's included, what's not, and we see a lot of our customers prefer speaking to our advisors.
Our last question is actually about how NRIs can choose the perfect product for them. I think we're particularly placed in this country, right? We all come here thinking, 1 year I'm going to hang out in Dubai and then go back. And then you end up spending your life here. You got your family here. You got a home here. How can we choose just the right kind of support for us?
Absolutely. So we've observed that now a lot of people are not going back home, right? Like if you, let's say if I were to take like years before COVID hit, people had a plan saying that they will work until this age and then they retire. They built a home back, in some city in India, and they move back. Now we're seeing a lot of people moving into the country here
That's true.
at a much higher age, if I
Yeah.
have to say that, and also not have any plans to go back, saying, "Hey, this is my home. I love it here, and I'm kind of going to be here." If if I'm able to plan it. Um, and NRIs, we have two challenges, which again, if you are not somebody who works in the health insurance sector or someone who's not purview to this information, you'll be surprised. Which is basically in India, if you have health insurance, um, you have significant amount of waiting periods for your pre-existing, right? And those waiting periods can be up to 4 years. So if you have a certain pre-existing condition and you were to buy a plan, there are insurance companies who would say, "Hey, I will not cover this particular condition and any claim related to it for the next 4 years. After that, it will be covered." And then a lot of us are looking to move back home at the age of 50, 55, 60, etc. Typically the age of retirement, right? And that's when a lot of us have some pre-existing condition, if
Yeah.
not chronic, at least a borderline condition, which we need to declare and which we take, some sort of medication for and treatment for. And then we realize, oh my God, so I will pay premium for a plan which I cannot use for the next 4 years. Then how, like, what's my alternative? So I'm paying out of pocket. So then let me do one thing. Let me just not get health insurance, because I'm anyway going to pay out of pocket for the next 4 years. So what we did is we created a health insurance plan for NRIs, non-resident Indians living in the UAE. This plan is very simple and superbly effective. What it basically does is, Malvika is a UAE resident. She requires a health insurance policy in the UAE as of now, right? She doesn't know when she's going to move back to India. She doesn't even know if she needs a health insurance policy in India, because she thinks, oh, health insurance in India is affordable, health claims in India is affordable, and I don't need a policy there. I'll figure it out when I really need to move back. Now, you've come to us with the intention of buying a policy in UAE. We sell you the policy in the UAE and we say, "Hey, Malvika, you know what? This is an exact policy which covers you back home as well in India. You don't need to apply for any sort of reimbursement. It's a cashless kind of a network that we have within the same health card. And all your limits are the same as what we have in AED, right? So if you have 1 million sum insured here, that kind of multiplies into the same multiplier, if you were to change
Times
1 dirham
23 or whatever.
yeah, exactly, right? Second is, if you were to stay on this plan consistently for 4 years, assuming Malvika is in Dubai for the next 4 years, she continues to renew the same plan. After 4 years, we offer you a seamless portability to India.
So, time now for our segment called Ask Away. This is the section of the show where we get people to write into us, listeners who've been listening to the conversation on the podcast and have their own questions about, in this case, health insurance, which I think is quite the hot topic. So, if you've got a question, firstly, remember to DM us. You can reach out on Instagram at Policybazaar.ae, and we'll ensure that the best in the business answer your questions. My first question comes from Ajman. Mariam is planning a family. She's thinking about maternity costs, which can be really scary if you think about it. And are they really that high? Is the question that she's asking. Should we look at a specific health insurance when we are planning a family?
Absolutely. So the good thing about, if I were to say, UAE, is that they've mandated certain basic features which have to be included in the policy. And for married females, maternity is one of them, especially if I were to talk about Dubai. And here you have two ways that you're claiming. One is the costs that lead up to the deliveries, all your consultations, scans, etc. So there is a certain amount that is covered for that. Then you have your delivery cost, and you could have a normal delivery or you could have a C-section, and there are sub-limits defined for that.
Right.
So for a normal delivery, there's a lower limit. For a C-section, there's a higher limit. And I would say, if someone is planning to start a family and wants to get pregnant in the near future, they should definitely buy a plan way before they start to plan it, right? Because there are certain waiting periods which are involved in the policy for maternity, till the time the maternity benefit kicks in. And the most important, which I think a lot of us kind of ignore or don't think it is as important, is all of us think that our pregnancy journey is going to be beautiful. right? And that's what we all hope and pray for. But sometimes things don't go as planned, and especially at the time of delivery, there could be certain complications which could require you or the baby to stay in the hospital for longer, right? And this is where also your health insurance plan covers you. Specifically, let's say if I were to talk about Dubai, your newborn is covered for 30 days after being born in the mother's policy, right? So the emergency treatment is not ever considered by most of us. We think, you know what, I'll go to a hospital, and a lot of hospitals sell maternity packages. And they evaluate saying, hey, maternity packages typically what, a normal delivery or C-section, it involves so many scans throughout the 9 months, it involves these blood tests, etc. Then there's the delivery cost, and I'm happy, and I'll pay for it. But what if there were additional requirement? We don't know how pregnancy progresses, right? It's 9 whole months, and there is some complication, god forbid you are required to stay in the hospital, there's some emergency surgery that needs to be done, the baby requires something additional, etc. Who's counting for that? Where's the money coming for that? Because that maternity package that you bought from the hospital, that's not covering it. But if you have a health insurance policy, that is covering it.
Right.
So I would say look at it holistically and keep declarations very clear. You're planning pregnancy, you're pregnant, you're not pregnant, declare it that way, because then when you do get pregnant, you're kind of covered.
And it'll be seamless.
Exactly.
Great. Okay, our next question comes in from Mohammed from Alain, and I know that almost every colleague I've ever had has thought about this. It's dental and vision, right? These things, when you do them, when you just pay at the counter, it's crazy expensive in the UAE, and then you think, okay, maybe I should get vision and dental covered in my insurance, but then it is an additional cost to your premium. So is it really worth getting these things?
I'd break it up in two things, right? So sometimes we get confused between the cosmetic procedure versus what's medically required. Right? Like, so for example, a new set of teeth, just because we want a whiter smile or, best looking teeth, especially kind of if you look at the place where we are in, where, everyone loves to feel great about
good.
themselves and look good and look in a similar way.
Yeah.
So I think those are not covered, right?
Of course.
All your cosmetic treatments. However, your medically required treatments, there are plans which cover that. So it could be a root canal, right? After the root canal, you have a filling, then you have a crown. So all the costs related to it will be covered. These are expensive procedures, right? If you've paid out of pocket, you know that they aren't cheap, and that's why few of us, when we go back home to India, we love getting these things done there because you're almost half the cost there. So there are plans which include basic cover, a smaller limit for these things, but there are enhanced and more comprehensive plans. If you think that's something that you require and you consistently use, you should go in for a higher plan which covers this, and there are higher limits set for these for dental and optical covers.
Great. I hope that answers your question, Mohammed, and thank you for asking it. Our next question comes in from Fatima from Sharjah. She says that her visa plan only covers basics, and she has a young child. She says, what happens if my child needs specialist treatment or surgery? I know that especially when you've just had a new baby and you're considering health insurance plans, you're just buying the cheapest one you can afford because you're like, already the diapers cost so much, right? So what can Fatima do to ensure that she has her child's treatment covered?
See, again, you got to look at what plan you're in. I mean, from what she said, like she has a visa plan, so I'm assuming she has the most basic plan, right? And to be honest, the basic plan in the UAE is defined by each Emirates government, and they've set decent standards that this needs to be included for sure. You can't just have charge the customer for this and not give a certain inclusion. However, if your medical needs require like a specialist, you would like to go to a specialist, evaluate the plans that are available. There could be certain plans between the most comprehensive to the most basic, right? There's always something in between. And again, I say there's no one fit size approach to all. I would say, Fatima, why don't you go on to Policybazaar.ae? Why don't you have a consultation with one of our agents and advisors and figure out the best plan? We'll do whatever, or questions and answers that we can kind of brainstorm together with you and figure out the best plan.
Amazing. And it only takes 30 minutes. Our last question comes in from Neha. She says, if a serious illness costs more than 200,000 dirhams and my basic insurance cap runs out before the treatment is complete, then what happens? What if I've gotten a plan which insures me for 200K, but now, mid-treatment, I'm out of money?
Yeah, so that's basically you don't have insurance cover left, right? Now you have to pay the remaining out of your pocket. And at this point, even if you try and figure out a new insurance plan, you are technically someone who's already claiming.
Right.
So the insurance company will evaluate your case as to how can they upgrade you to a higher sum insured policy or to a different insurance company. You can approach a different insurance company, but in any case they will evaluate your medical reports. They will evaluate how much is your approximate estimated spend for the next 12 months, and basis that they will give you a premium,
Right.
which is almost close to what you would spend.
Right.
If you are kind of in this situation, I wish you could have evaluated it before, but if not, yeah, that's a really tough situation to be in. But yes, you could, reach out to Policybazaar.ae and we could help you figure out alternate plans, but they would be expensive. They would come at a marginally expensive cost.
Right. Well, thank you so much. Thank you, Toshita, for answering all of those questions. And thank you guys for sending in all those questions. If you've got any more, remember to DM us. It's Policy Bazaar UAE on Instagram. And I'm sure you've got these questions running through your head and you're wondering, who do I ask? Well, we're right here. That's Toshita Chauhan, the Chief Business Officer for General Insurance at Policybazaar.ae. And thank you for listening to the Policy Project podcast.